This that I'm showing for you right in here, this is the final difficulty of the game, the highest difficulty of the game. And how can you be so sure? Because of the health bar. There's only, you can only find these types of enemies with this type of health on the final difficulty of the game. This is one of the world bosses that you have out there. So, yeah. And as you can see right in here, we're just almost one-shotting him with this amazing, really powerful weapon. Now, I want to talk about this weapon because this is one of the only unique or legendary weapons that it is so flexible that you can basically do anything that you would want to do with the weapon. You see, usually unique weapons, they already come with a modification on their ammunition or bullet type, and usually that's what determines the type of build that you're going to have with that weapon. This one, while it does share that resemblance, this is a weapon that you're virtually going to be able to use with any type of build that you want, regardless of what is it that you're building towards. And it's also going to be much better than many of the other weapons that you have out there because of that versatility, and it's not going to have some of the drawbacks that you would have with a specific type of weapon and changing that specific type of weapon. Like, for example, usually when you switch the ammunition type or the ammo type that a weapon has for it to be able to scale out of the skill point that you're leveling up, it's going to diminish the damage so that it can compensate that. Now, I'm going to show you first how to get the weapon, and then we're going to be talking about the build possibilities, and we're going to talk about why is this weapon so versatile, so powerful, and why would you be able to use it with virtually any type of build that wouldn't like necessarily be like a melee build or things like that. Anyways, this is going to be on Predator. The one thing that you need to have in mind is that you have to go through like the first half of the game, so the first 2 regions of the game, then you're going to be given the choice to come into this place. Now, before you can get the weapon, you need to have the actual item to deal with the rift anomalies, because this is a weapon that's going to be coming from a rift anomaly. So first, you're going to be given the choice to either go in here or go through the other region of the game. Come here first, do the main quest in here. You can still explore and do stuff. You just need to get the item for you to be able to deal with the rift anomalies. And you're going to open this rift right in here that I'm showing you that's in here. There's going to be a little bit of an ambush in here. You're going to be ambushed by enemies, so you do have to be aware of that. But once you open this rift, it's going to have this little box right in here. And this is where you're going to find the last whisper. This sign is nothing special, nothing that crazy, nothing that amazing. It is just your regular shoddy right in here. So I was talking about versatility and how powerful this is. The actual legendary perk or unique perk that the weapon has is that it has like the shots are silenced, but the weapon does not have a silencer. So talk about this in a little while. But also the attacks against unaware enemies, they deal 100% of your damage, increasing up to 150% of your sneak skill. So you would think that this is a weapon that you would only be using with like a sneak type of build, and yes, this is what's going to benefit the most for this weapon, but it is not only going to be the case. It also needs to be mentioned that this is the only shotgun, and I mean the only shotgun that you can have silenced, because you cannot add silencers to shotguns in this game, and this is the only one that it doesn't necessarily have a silencer, because you will see that the stealth multiplier, it's the base one. Usually the sneak multiplier is higher with silenced weapon depending on your sneaking skill. As you can see with my sniper rifle that I have a silencer in here, my sneak multiplier goes high for almost like 300%. And that's quite a lot of damage. But you also have to have in mind that every time that you alter the same ammunition type of a weapon, the base damage changes. Every time, as you can see right in here with this sniper rifle, every time that you change the element onto a weapon, it's going to reduce the base damage. So that is the usually the trade-off that you're going to have with weapon modifications, that for you to be able to scale your damage either with sneaking or with science or with explosives, since you're going to be scaling up that damage, the game balances that on lowering the base damage so that you don't get as broken and as overpowered as this weapon is. Since this is not a silencer, this is not going to reduce the base damage of the weapon. Sure, it is not going to have the that amount of damage that it has on the stealth multiplier, but it's also not losing the base damage, so that compensates that. And usually how this works is that they want for this to happen so that you're amazing at sneaking and you're making the concession, you're making a choice, a decision on RPG to deal more damage while sneaking. And when you're open fighting, if you have like the weapon skills, you might have a little bit more damage, but it wouldn't be as efficient as an open fight. In here you are, because you're virtually losing nothing. So if you were to be using this weapon for a sneak type of build, you would be one-shotting a whole bunch of stuff, like basically anything that this game has to offer for you. There's nothing that this game has to offer for you, not even on the highest difficulties of the game, that it is going to have to get you to be out of sneaking, because you're going to be able to kill anything that you want. Remember that while you're sneaking, you can have up to 2 shots before the enemy notices you, and there's nothing in this game, virtually nothing in this game, that it is going to survive 2 shots from this weapon from a sneaking position. Not only that, but if you want to be using like this weapon in a little bit more of a straightforward build, like for example, let's say that you want to have guns, but you also want to have guns with like science to increase the actual type side effect damage, you're not going to be losing like the base damage of the weapon, because and you don't need to do anything to it, because it already deals plasma damage, and plasma damage, it is going to be increasing its damage, it is going to be increasing its effectiveness by adding points into science. So the only builds that wouldn't really be efficient with this weapon, this is a weapon that's going to take advantage of observation, it is going to have weak spot damage as well, so either observation, science, guns, sneaking, anything that you would want to build with this character, like the only things that it wouldn't be affecting this weapon, it would be obviously melee and explosives, and that's it. But the rest of the damage type of builds, this weapon is going to be able to do whatever that the rest of the weapons would do, and much better. Like, it would outperform any of those weapons regardless of the type of build that you were trying to make. This is virtually an amazing weapon that, like I mentioned, at the expense of sounding redundant, being able to do anything that it would want to be with any type of build that you would be trying to craft, without having to have the drawbacks of you having to switch into that type of build. This weapon is not going to lose any damage, and the fact that it already has elemental damage, it can work with science. The fact that it doesn't have a silencer per se on itself, but it's already like a silence weapon, you're not going to get discovered because of that thing. And you know, the fact that its legendary weapon or ammunition type that it has right in here, the fact that it can help you to scale the damage of anything that you would want to scale the damage of, it's very, very amazing. Because, for example, we have the death sentence right in here, which is one of my favorite marksman rifles in the entirety of the game. But the legendary perk that it has, it's the Doom counter, which is a very, very good legendary perk. But this means that this weapon only works with a marksman type of build that wouldn't necessarily be a sneak sniper, because it doesn't, you can't add silencer to it, you can't add a element to it. So for this weapon, we would only be able to build it towards the base weapon and observation to increase its overall damage. This guy basically scales out of everything. That's the amazing part of this weapon, that it scales out of everything. So you can virtually use it with any type of build that you would want to be using this weapon with. On the particular case of a sneaking type of build, having mentioned already that When you add a silencer to the weapon, you become a little bit more vulnerable to open fights, and whenever you get discovered, you have to go out of your way to hide yourself again. With this weapon, you can just engage in open combat if you have the necessary weapon skills, like on 20, like I have it right in here. And it is going to be dealing tremendous amounts of damage, and it is going to be a very effective weapon in open combat, both in open combat and on a sneaking kind of point of view for the fights. This is one of my favorite weapons in the entirety of the game. If you like the content, you like and I would super appreciate it. Note that you're a gorgeous and beautiful person, you're indeed a gorgeous and beautiful person. Subscribe to the channel, join Discord, have a beautiful day, goodbye.